Yo, what is up? We pick it up at Frontlines, and after my first death in the Scorpion G, we're gonna jump into the M41D Chinese light tank, and you get into the lobby and then you pick out the tank and off you go. So this is gonna be a 2-for-1. I'm gonna do my first impression on Frontline and the M41D at the same time. Now, typically when you play Frontlines, you are playing tanks like the Progetto, the Scorpion, the Lorraine, the Defender, tanks of that nature. Very seldom you would bring light tanks, although they do have a place in this game mode. However, the popular light tanks right now are the LT432, and you're gonna see in a moment why. Now, that's not to say this tank is not good at all. I've had this tank for about a week now, and I can't complain much about it, to be honest with you. I do enjoy it very much. It is a very fun tank to play. On the scale of a fun factor, this thing is way up there in terms of fun factor. That's because light tanks are always fun. You have this kind of mobility. I think this tank reloads in 3.7 seconds, which makes it like a high DPM tank. This tank has 2,685 DPM. I'm running optics, rammer, vertical stabilizer, and food. The standard penetration is APCR. Standard shells are APCR 192 penetration, which makes this tank cheap to run, cheap to shoot. The premium shells is also APCR, but it has better penetration, of course. 227 on that penetration, but of course it's going to cost you a lot more. Oh my god. I don't even know why people play artillery in frontline modes. I understand you're playing artillery in random modes, but artillery in frontline modes, it's kind of like, it doesn't make sense at all. You have to have some kind of sickness on you when you play artillery in frontline modes, but I digress. What was I saying? This tank, fun factor is there. It is not a terrible tank, and it is not that of a great tank, but it is fun to play, and that's because I was telling you about the APCR shells. Standard shells are APCRs. Premium shells are APCR, and it fires really fast. The reload time is 3.8 seconds when you're running food and you have the rammer and you have BIA crew. A dispersion is 0.32, which means it's pretty good dispersion. It's not very good when you're moving. It's not very good when you're like traversing and stuff like that. Not that great, but when you're sniping from a distance, sniping from camouflage, it's really fun and it's really good. The only downside is 170 damage is kind of underwhelming, considering the LT432 has 180 standard damage, and it fires just a little bit slower, 4.12 seconds or something like that. So it's just a fraction, fraction of a second slower reload, maybe half a second slower reload time, the 432. And of course, with APCR shells, you are talking about 1,257 meters per second shell velocity on standard shells, and 1,433 shell velocity on the premium shells. Now, the mobility on this tank, 65 kilometers an hour. I suppose it's the same as the other bulldogs, maybe plus or minus a couple of kilometers an hour. I don't want to go into too much detail about that because I don't really care too much about the stats, but more about how it feels and how it plays. That's what's concerning me more than anything else. Of course, 65 kilometers an hour top speed forward, and going back it's 22 kilometers an hour reverse. Yeah, I enjoy it, it's fun, but it's, I don't know, it does not have any kind of redeeming quality that makes it stand out, that makes it different, that makes it kind of special. Like, for instance, if you're playing an LT432, you know that thing has got like really good camo. Not to say this thing doesn't have any great camo, it is very good camo. Chinese tanks are known to have good camo, but it is not as good as the LT432. I think this is like 20 something percent camo rating, while the LT432 is like 30 something percent. So the camo is good, but it's not that great. You know, it's kind of like a tall, big, bulky tank. And like I was saying earlier, this tank does not have any kind of redeeming qualities that make it stand out from the rest of the LTs, make it anything particularly special. Like when you're playing the 432, I was saying it's a low profile tank. You know that thing is low and difficult to hit because of its low profile tank. And when you're playing the Black Bulldog, for example, the Black Bulldog has got this like amazing HE shells that has good penetration. You can shoot people in the back and you're almost certain to penetrate. So unless you're some kind of collector of premium tanks in this game, I don't see any reason why you would want to pick out this tank as a competitive tank. Like if you want to grind credits, I don't think you would pick this tank. You would pick the Black Bulldog, or you would pick the LT432, because those are better at doing that kind of job, you know, earning credits. But if you want a quirky, not quirky, I'm sorry, it's not quirky at all. But if you want to collect a Chinese LT and you got to have it, then this might be for you. But besides that, it doesn't do anything particularly well or better than any other LT. Basically, this is just like a crew trainer if you want to train your 132 crew, or if you want to train your Chinese light tank crews. But I'll be honest with you, there's another tank that would be better at doing that, and that would be the Type 62 Tier 7 light tank. Now, the Tier 7 light tank, of course, you're not going to earn as much credits as a Tier 8 light tank, but if you're thinking about getting a Chinese light tank to train crews, the Type 62 is a lot better idea, a lot better tank tier for tier. Why do I say that? The Type 62 light tank was created before the light tank apocalypse, which means the Type 62 Tier 7 Chinese light tank is a relic from the past. It was created before they decided to nerf all the light tanks, which means this tank, the M41D Chinese light tank, this is post-apocalypse. This is post-light tank nerf. So they factored in the playability, the overpoweredness when they were making this tank. Whereas the Type 62 was created a long time ago, before they decided to nerf all these LT tanks, all the light tanks. So the the Type 62 tier for tier 7 is still a better. I hate this bug when it happens. You know, when you toggle shift from third person to scope and you find your gun pointing at the sky instead of pointing at what you want to shoot at. I hate it when it happens. It happens a lot. And it happens at the worst time. You know, because when you're toggling shift, you want to scope in onto your enemy, but instead you find your freaking gun is pointing at the sky. And if you have like 400 DPI or 800 DPI in your mouse settings, you realize you're gonna have to make like a huge mouse movement, drag your mouse all the way down, hitting your coffee over the table and shit like that, just to get your reticle back down into your target. I hate it when that happens. I wish there was some way, I wish they could fix that or something. This shouldn't happen. A lot of people know what I'm talking about, but there's not a lot of discussion about this. Not a lot of people talk about it. I don't know why people tolerate this. It shouldn't be happening at a game that's been around for 8 years. They should have figured out that this isn't something that players like. Now, I'm in a position where I need to repair myself, but I've used that repair station and it's still on the cooldown. I've got 20 plus seconds before I can use the repair station. I was thinking of going back further in to repair, but 20 over seconds and the next repair station is so far away, I might as well hang around here and wait for the cooldown to finish. And it's still unavailable. I still got 3 seconds. I have to wait, but I have time because the enemies have not closed in yet, and I am more useful sticking around here. Now, be honest with you, when you're playing Frontlines, the light tank is very special because you don't do a lot of damage in light tanks, and it's not a very popular class to play, especially in Frontlines. In Frontlines, you're, like I said, you are looking more like robust tanks that can shift. The Progetto, the Lorraine, the T-44-100 are the type of medium tanks that you want to play. Stuff that can do damage, that can move around the map quickly, has got a bit of alpha. You know, like if you have the Progetto or the Lorraine 40-ton, those are the kind of choice tanks that you probably pick when you want to play Frontlines. Of course, you want to make a lot of credits, so you need to do a lot of damage, and those are the kind of tanks that are going to dish out a lot of damage in this game mode, because you're gonna clip people out and run away, clip people out and run away. So each time you shoot, you're gonna do like 500 damage or something like that, which over time is gonna stack up to your damage count, and at the end of the game you're gonna earn a lot of credits if you have your clan boosters on, if you have your personal boosters on. Damage is what you want to do in this game to earn a lot of credits. So playing light tanks, you're kind of like cucking yourself because it's difficult to do a lot of damage in light tanks. Now in this game I actually do 5,000 plus damage in the M41. That's because I stay alive for a long time. I think I repaired twice or 3 times. I could have chose to kill myself when I had low HP and respawn in some other tank like a Scorpion, or like I said, Progetto or Lorraine. But I want to finish off a review on this tank, and it was a good opportunity for me to make like a long rambling video with this tank in focus all the time. So I decided to keep myself alive, keep repairing the tank, and keep going on for as long as I did. Once again, playing LTs in Frontlines or in the random mode for that matter is kind of tricky. You have no armor and all. You need to be kind of special to be playing this tank because you can't take any damage. You need to be really careful with your HP. If this was in random mode and I couldn't repair myself, it would have been GG for me because I would have been dead a long time ago. But because I managed to repair myself 2 times or 3 times, that's why I could carry on playing for a long time. Now again, let's talk a little bit about gun stats. This tank has 9 degrees gun depression, which means you can do a little bit of ridge fighting. If you have a little ridge and a little bush along with that ridge, you could do some serious damage, and that's because once again you can use your camo rating on this tank to your advantage. Now Chinese tanks, in case you don't know, have great camo rating after French tanks. The French tanks always have the best camo rating, followed by these Chinese tanks. Chinese tanks have great camo rating as well, especially if you're playing the Type 64 Tier 6 and the Type 62. Those 2 tanks have really great camo rating. Now, this tank does not have the camo rating that the LT432 has, but all things considered, it is fairly good, better than other kinds of light tanks. I got to run away here because I know that Centurion or whatever is gonna chase after me, so I got to get the hell out of here, and I got myself spotted and I'm gonna take another hit. I think I'm going to go for another repair here if I can, and I ran into that building. I'm having some lag and ping issues. For some reason I'm having over 80-90 ping, and I'm having that flashing red-green light. And this is not normal for me, but you know, I'm not going to complain too much. It's not that bad. I know a lot of people that play with worse ping. I'm gonna fix this for one last time and see if I can get some extra damage for the end game. Now, early on in the game, we weren't doing very well. In fact, we capitulated and gave up a lot of the bases very quickly. But we managed to hold them back from capturing deeper into our base. And even though we lost the gun on base 1, which they managed to take out because they concentrate all their forces there, I decided not to go over to base 1 and decided to hang around the 345 line, 345 turrets, because I knew this is where a lot of the players are going to come, because they know we are going to be defending the second turret, because we lost the first turret. So it's only natural that a lot of our teammates are going to be trying to stop them from advancing to the second naval gun. So I decided to stay here and hold them back for as long as possible. Initially I thought we were going to lose this game, but as the game progressed on, as I was playing this tank, I realized that it was very possible to win this because we were doing a good job at holding them back. A lot of the players, they seem to be veterans in this game because a lot of people seem to know what they're doing. Not like the first Frontlines last year when everyone was lost and the win-loss ratio, it was a toss-up, people didn't really know what they were doing, so winning or losing was just like a roll of a dice. But it seems to me that the attacking team and the defending team in this game look like they know what they're doing. That's like really strange, but that's how it goes. And that's my review of this tank, by the way, the M41D. I've had this tank for about a week. I didn't play a lot of it, and I don't have anything bad to say about this tank. But if you're looking for a light tank, you'd be better off trying to get an LT432, to be honest with you. All things considered, that would be a better choice than this one. Not like this one is a bad tank at all, but if you are a collector, you just gotta have it. Yeah, this tank is definitely playable. You will have a lot of fun in this tank. The fun factor is really good, and that's because the reload time is really quick, so you will have fun in this. But if you want to be earning credits or training crew, get a Type 62. Or if you want to earn credits in light tank, get the Black Dog or LT432. So anyway, thanks for watching and listening to me ramble on about this tank, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.